What's going on, folks? What's going on? Sir Charles Carey here. And, technology is great, right? When it works, right? I love it. I've learned so much because of the era that we are currently living in. So, you know, I would challenge you and I would encourage you to do the same. Listen, I just want to jump on real quick to talk to you about a couple of things that I think it relates to our everyday lives, our everyday understanding. I know when we were kids, this is how we grew up. We were taught certain things, and for many of us, those things have never left us. For others, they probably fell off by the wayside the moment after they were told or taught to us. But I'm talking about those golden oldies, those old adages that I think would be really appropriate today because of all the stress and all of the strife that we live through and that we go through. And if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, I'm going to just jump right in. Look, remember what was it called? The Golden Rule. Yes, the Golden Rule. I'm talking about things like if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. You remember that? Now, as I look around and I look at social media and I see the news and I understand that different news outlets that used to be on the same platform, meaning having a non-biased opinion about different things, regardless of whether it's sports, politics, day-to-day interactions, whatever it is. There used to be this non-biased reporting, but now it seems like there's certain channels or certain networks, that's better, certain networks that have a focus on their view, and obviously it's financially motivated. But what about if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all? I'm thinking about the fact that many of us were taught those very values as children, and many of us were punished if we did not abide by those values. And yet today, it seems like that's the least of anyone's interest, anyone's concern. When I say anyone, I'm talking about the adults that run the country, the adults that run the world, the adults that have a stake in what happens with this corporation or that corporation, who gets hired, who gets fired, who gets thrown in jail, etc., etc. Whatever happened to the golden rule? Something to make you go, as Arsenio used to say, right? And what about, there's another one. I wrote down a few. Speak when spoken to. How many times have you spoken to someone and they just totally ignore you? Especially now. I know the world is stressing. I know the world is going through a lot of changes and challenges. It doesn't take much to speak to someone. And if you know where I come from, there's more than one way to speak to someone. Of course, the negative side speaks to itself, but you can always get them, hey, how you doing? What's up? Morning, Bill. How's everything happening? Right, whatever it may be. I'm just saying. I'm kind of trying to make light of it a little bit because to me it's crazy. And I say it's crazy mainly because the truth of the matter is a head nod, something as simple as that, a gesture just to acknowledge another human being. Look, many times, I write about it in my book, What's So Hard About Being You, right? Many times we make things difficult for ourselves because we're just totally opposed for seemingly no reason at all. Meanwhile, if you peel back the layers, there's some stuff going on in there. And I would think that's the same thing that's happening with the leadership of the world, the leadership of various companies, etc., etc., etc. Whatever happened to the golden rule? I think we should bring it back. Now, what about what's good for the goose is good for the gander? Now, whatever happened to that old adage? When you do something to someone, usually when it was all said and done at the end of the day or the end of the term, when things were all found out or settled, if you did it, it can be done to you, especially if it's wrong, right? I mean, come on. Call a thing a thing. That's what's her name? Ayala Van Zandt says. Call a thing a thing. And I totally agree with that. You know, it's one thing if you're remorseful for it. It's one thing if you're willing to admit to a thing. But when you treat someone a certain way and come to find out you're wrong, not to say that everyone needs to be punished, but if that seems to be the end result, that you're getting the same treatment that you dished out, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And here's the cousin to that old adage: treat people the way you want to be treated. That's the bottom line. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Why is that so difficult? If you want to be treated nice, then you treat people nice. If you don't subscribe, prescribe, understand, believe, agree with someone's philosophy in life, theories in life, whatever it may be, and you don't want to have anything to do with it, then don't. That way, you don't have to worry about the same thing coming back to you. But if you want to go out your way to gossip about someone, to set someone up, to speak negatively about someone, to do something to someone just because they think differently than you, some may feel that you may deserve the same treatment in return. And there you get, ladies and gentlemen, all out chaos. So again, treat people the way you want to be treated. And remember, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. See, what else did I write down? Oh, yeah. Remember, silence is golden. Now, this can be used in so many different ways. You know, just because somebody's got a foul mouth doesn't mean that you have to. Just because someone accuses you doesn't mean that they deserve a response. Now, being human, I understand it's really difficult because, you know, that's how we're wired. You know, we are sensitive beings. We feel the way we feel, and, you know, we want justice or to be justified in our behavior, especially if we feel that someone is treating us unfairly. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. But sometimes, and it's difficult for me, I must admit, out of everything on this list, and I believe the original set of golden rules, there were 10. I don't remember them all. I can look them up. In fact, you can look them up. But the original golden rules spoke to these things. And to me, it's just common sense or common behavior. You know, simply, silence is golden. You don't have to address everything that happens. You don't have to address every wrong that occurs. You don't have to make it your private mission to speak to every inaccurate thing, if you will. Now, I have been known to cross that line as well, being quite frank, quite honest with you. And sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. There's nothing I can do about that. But at the same time, it's not my job to necessarily tell the truth to everyone about their wrongdoing, their misspeaking, their misstatements, whatever it may be. And that's just the long and short of it. So silence is golden. Maybe sometimes it's simply best to just not say anything, especially if it's not that important and or if it does not matter. You know, and I thought about these things because honestly, we make life so much more difficult than it has to be in many cases. I'm talking personal, social, recreational. It doesn't matter. On almost every platform in business, I mean, sometimes we make the challenge bigger than it has to be. And a lot of times it's because of our own shortcomings, our own inadequacies, our own inexperience, and things of that nature. And that's the thing that causes problems for many of us and many of the situations we're in. So when it's all said and done, what happened to the golden rule? Radiate the brain, change the game.